I will now explain the next energy system of the body, the lactic acid system. Glycolysis is the breakdown of glucose. The carbohydrates we give our body the glucose it needs. This is either stored in the muscles or liver as glycogen to use at a later date. Glycolysis' end product is pyruvic acid. This is either filtered through the Krebs cycle, which is a series of chemical reactions which releases stored energy, or turned into lactic acid. When it is turned into lactic acid, it is known as anaerobic glycolysis, or if it stays as pyruvate acid, it is known as aerobic glycolysis. The amount of oxygen available at the point only influences the end product and doesn't influence the process itself. Lactic acid is also referred to as fast glycolysis, as it is able to create energy at a faster rate than slow glycolysis. But because its end product is lactic acid, that means the muscles fatigue quicker than when using slow glycolysis. After the initial 10 seconds of exercise, the PCR system stops producing energy, and the lactic acid system takes over, which links to a decrease in the maximum power output the body can produce because the ATP system can no longer the ATP PC system can no longer produce energy as it has run out of phosphagens. After 10 seconds, all the energy the body is using comes from the lactic acid energy system. At 45 seconds, the intensity of continual exercise, there is a drop. There is the second drop in the body's maximum power output that can be used. The first when the ATP PC system slowed. This system is the second fastest way our bodies have to resynthesize ATP, and this system will be used from the 30 seconds to 2 minutes as the main energy system of the body. Each molecule of glucose broken down into pyruvate in each molecule of glucose broken down into pyruvate, 2 molecules of ATP are produced. The conversion to lactate happens when the oxygen need is more than that available, for example when doing any sort of anaerobic exercise. But when there is enough oxygen to meet the muscle's demand, for example aerobic exercise, lactate isn't created. After anaerobic exercise has ceased, extra oxygen is needed to remove the lactic acid, which is done by changing it back to pyruvic acid. This is known as repaying the oxygen debt. If the oxygen isn't supplied at the rate the muscles need, this is called anaerobic glycolysis, which means there is a decrease in the pH of the muscles because we cannot get enough oxygen to the working muscles to remove enough lactate. So the pH increases and eventually the muscles cannot function. This means the muscle's ability to create force and contract at a high intensity decreases. Once exercise has gone on for more than a few seconds, the body needs to regenerate ATP. The energy to do this is gained from the body's glucose and glycogen reserves. The breakdown of glucose is what provides the energy needed to rebuild ADP into ATP. Since glycolysis is more complicated than the ATP-PC system, as it contains more reactions. As oxygen isn't present, pyruvic acid is created during glycolysis. This is then changed by enzymes into lactic acid. Lactic acid is one of the byproducts which pool in the muscles and blood, meaning the muscles fatigue, interfering with muscular contractions. As this happens, exercise intensity slows so the lactic acid can be removed. This system can produce ATP through glucose and glycogen. Glucose produces 2 ATP for every molecule of glucose plus 2 lactic acid and heat. And glycogen creates 3 ATP plus 2 lactic acid and heat. Training the lactic acid system is all about increasing our endurance to lactate. How fast we can remove the lactate, so getting more oxygen into the muscles and improving the rate glycolysis can produce ATP. To do this, players use the 1:6 ratio, meaning for every second of work done, the athlete must be allowed 6 seconds of rest. The recovery time of this system is from 30 minutes to 60 minutes, as oxygen is needed to repay the oxygen debt. The advantages and disadvantages of this system are: advantages: can produce 2 more ATP than the ATP-PC system per molecule of glucose or glycogen. Because there is a relatively low amount of chemical reactions needed for glycolysis, that means ATP can be created at high rates, so it can be used in sports like hurdles, as this system can last at a high intensity up to 3 minutes. Since oxygen isn't needed, there is no delay in time from oxygen. There is no delay in the time oxygen would need to get from the lungs to the muscles, meaning reactions take place quicker, meaning the muscles can contract quicker, so the body moves quicker. This system uses fast twitch fibers to allow for short, intense contractions. The disadvantages are it produces the harmful byproduct lactic acid, which increases the pH of the muscle cells and inhibiting specific enzymes, meaning the muscles fatigue and the players have to stop quicker. The system can only work at its highest intensity for 40 seconds and 3 minutes at its lowest. This system is used in different sports like the 200-meter sprint. The lactic acid system is used in this sport after the energy from the PCR system has been depleted. After the first 10 seconds, it is used to fuel muscular contractions in the legs. Basketball. The lactic acid system is used in this sport when dribbling up the court with the ball, which can take over 10 seconds, meaning this system comes into effect to allow muscular contractions through the whole body to continue. Netball. The lactic acid system is used in this sport when an attacking player is taking the ball up the court. After the initial 10 seconds, this system kicks in to allow contractions to continue in the arms, legs and abdominals, so the player can continue to take the ball towards the opponent's hoop. Football. The lactic acid system is used in this sport when a defender is trying to get the ball off the attacker. This system must be used to allow muscular contractions in the legs to continue, as it may take more than 10 seconds for the defender to get the ball back off the attacker. Hockey. The lactic acid system is used in this sport when a defender is trying to get the ball off an attacker, as this can take more than 10 seconds because the attackers can pass to each other, meaning the defender may have to run between them. So this system is used to allow muscular contractions in the legs and arms to continue and abdominal muscles to continue.